Well, my name is Damien Perkins. I'm a 3D animator. I actually worked on a film called The Titanic in 3D for an internship before I came here. Well, before I moved to Albany. Like I said, I majored in film and television, and I majored in the 3D animation part of film and television. And I have my first degree was in psychology, and I actually worked with autistic kids for a year. And I listened to like a lot of y'all majors and stuff that y'all announced to me, and a lot of that stuff is really part of animation. So far as like the ceramic part, when you're modeling and designing stuff with ceramics, they actually do that in animation to design the character. So they might do a ceramic form of the character that somebody draw or anything like that, and then ZBrush. That's the computerized way of doing it. Yeah. Yeah, but today I'm gonna talk to y'all about the process of animation and how I approach it. And then actually some couple of questions. If y'all have any questions for me, and I'll answer them for you. So this is basically a still shot here from a short film that I did in my senior class. There's 3 different forms of animation. And there's 3D animation, there's 2D animation, which is the traditional way of doing animation. It's more like, if anybody's seen The Frog and the Princess, it's more of the drawing style of animation, the 2D animation. And then they got stop animation, it's more like claymation. So when you're taking clay, animated, and moving them frame by frame. Yeah, like Robot Chicken, yeah. The first step with animation, you have to have an idea. You have to tell a story first before you can do any drawings or any modeling. So the first thing they get you to do is to design a character. They want you to get it from all angles. They want you to come up with the facial expressions, the actions, the movements of the character, and basically the personality of a character when you're doing animation, the first step of animation. It's a lot of different jobs in animation. You got a writer, the person who actually writes the story. You got the concept artist, and that's the people who actually draw all the characters, the backgrounds, the props. You got storyboard artists, that's the people who actually takes the writer's information and turns it into a drawing, or what it'll look like, draw. You got people who do the modeling, so they take the drawing and model it in 3D. You got riggers. And the riggers are the people that actually make the controls to make the character move. And then you have the animator, and those are the people who actually give the character a personality, basically makes it move and everything like that. And the last part of animation is the editing. So the people who takes the raw footage and they clean up all the mistakes, all the areas, and add effects to it, explosions and all that type of stuff. Here's a storyboard from a short film that I did. And basically I used the storyboard just to tell you what the film is going to look like. So frame by frame is drawings of what I want the movie to actually turn out. And just about everything as far as in television that you see on TV has some form of storyboard in it. They have to do a storyboard before they do a commercial. They have to do a storyboard before they do a movie. Or, I mean, just about anything with television has a person that does a storyboard to it. And this is actually called a pre-visualization. This is actually the storyboard that I drawn, and I actually modeled the characters in 3D form and laid it out how I want it to look once I get to doing the 3D part of it. And this is staging. Staging is basically getting the audience attention on what's going to take place in the animation. So y'all see I have the dog and I have the shoe, and normally, you know, dogs, they like to eat on shoes, chew on shoes and stuff like that. So the story is, I had a dog in college. I had a Rottweiler puppy that whenever I went to class and I came back, I had my tennis shoes all over the place, chewed up. And me, when I first got into animation, I always wanted to, you know, see what I would look like as an animated character. And yes, I have a big nose and big eyes. I do have those, but it's a little exaggerated in the anime, because with animation, you exaggerate everything. You don't really draw what you really, might look like. You want to stretch out the chins and the face, and these next shots are just shots from the film that I had created. That's actually me when I chase the dog throughout the house and it runs under the table and it hides. Most dogs, when they know they're in trouble, they run to the nearest area for safety or whatever. And she wanted me to tell you about the picture in the background. That's actually a painting that she did when she was in school.
That's important.
She wanted to be part of it.
The story wouldn't make sense without it.
Exactly.
I wouldn't know what was going on. That's a vital piece.
And that's actually a big painting, but
That's really in our apartment though. That was realistic. He rendered that just exactly how it was.
Okay.
So I just.
So it's like a personal thing between y'all.
Oh, this is my fiance.
No, I know that. I mean, like, it's like, I know that. I'm just like,
It's okay, Swan.
no, I mean, like, it's seen in other animations. like in Pixar, they put a 122 because that's how many workers are there, and it's always at all Pixar.
Yeah.
So it's deeper. I know you're fiance.
Exactly. I'm giving you all the. This is behind.
See, like you wouldn't notice the painting, but you wouldn't know the story behind it.
And that's actually me. That's a self-portrait. So it's even more symbolic.
So it's
I
more.
want to see the film.
You will. We have to film.
Meanwhile.
So I basically used the apartment that we was living in to come up with the idea of the scene that I got here. And yes, I added Meredith in it. So these are just all still frames of the short film. I actually got the short film with me, so I'm gonna show you guys what it looked like when I finished it.
What version of Jordans you was trying to create right now?
You can't really use, when you're doing stuff like this, you can't really use brands. Like you can't put like Adidas brands and stuff like that. So I just didn't put any name or any kind of logo on or nothing like that. So sure.
When you're doing like the characters, how many angles are you drawing these from? Like, do you have to draw them like a side view, top view, bottom? Like how many?
So you want to know like from all the different angles that I use to?
Yeah, like just one character for example. Just like for how many times did you have to draw yourself? Like different.
Well, that's all in the beginning process. Like you start off when you're doing the character layout sheet that I showed you, and you have to draw yourself from all different angles. Like so, you have to draw yourself from the front angle, from the side angle, from the back angle, and then from like a 3/4 angle. And then once you do it, you take that drawing and you take it into this 3D software, and then you can model it from all those angles into one character.
So do you draw it or do you?
I initially draw it first.
No, I mean like draw it in 3D or do you?
It's kind of like sculpting.
Like use volumetric shapes. I have one.
Well, the software that I use is called Maya, and you start off in Maya. They give you like these shapes. Like you might use a block, and you can manipulate a square into that character there. But it's like it takes a little while. You have to practice on how to model an apple or something first before you can learn how to start modeling characters and people.
Okay.
I took 3D animation before. Exactly how long did it take you to do one thing? Because I caught hell with 3D.
So how long did it take me to do
Just at least just one.
one scene, one item, or like one character or a scene? One designing one character may take, if I'm really sitting down and paying attention to what I'm doing, it might take a week. But it may be 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day for a week to get it the way I want it to be. And like if I'm designing a scene or if I'm doing like a 5-second animation, that can take from 2 to 3 weeks just for 5 seconds.
You work in anything else, like ZBrush or Blender?
I worked in Blender. I actually I did an internship with a video game company, and they use Blender. Blender.
My brother, he uses Blender.
Yeah, Blender is a little different from Maya, but it's still the same thing. You're still doing the same things that you do in Maya and Blender. I think it's just user-friendly, more user-friendly with Blender than it is Maya. This is just another concept art that I was working on, and I'm getting ready to, work on another video or a short film, and each one of them really has to do with part of my life. So I worked for Dick's Sporting Goods at one point in my life, and I was a customer service specialist. And me being tall, everybody always asked me, did I play basketball, or why you so tall? Why you working here being that tall? But it's just like, this is just like another storyline that I'm getting ready to develop. This is like when you asked me about the angles and stuff to draw for the character, this is actually how you set up the angles and everything.
So you can actually just do one side, because if you load it up, you can always.
So when you can do it in one slot, take that little top part that I have, take it into the 3D software, and then you take, like what I was saying, like you might use a spear, but you actually taking that spear and you molded it into that shape of that character. It's not hard at all. It may sound a little.
I know,
Take
right?
time.
Yeah, it's not. It really ain't. Because I didn't know how to do all that before I went to school. And once they showed us like the basic interface of the software that we use, you pick it up real quick. This is a scene that I did for my senior project in college, and it was just about 2 bugs really aggravating fish. And basically, the story behind it was like simple-minded, like not knowing what a person is capable of. So the bugs didn't really know what the fish was capable of, but they was aggravating it. So
do you have to draw in like the grass and stuff and like the clouds in the sky, or can you like just pull that from?
Well, they have a library of those things inside that software that you can just grab and put in your film, or you can actually model it out yourself if you wanted to. But that's just something from the library that I grabbed, the clouds and the grass and stuff like that. This is another shot of the background from that story.
See, what I would like would be hard. It's all those cast shadows. And you go back through and find the shadow, especially at 10.
Well, like I was telling you about the library, like once they have these lights that you can put in your scenes, and the lights automatically cast the shadows. So you don't have to like design or anything. So you put the lights in the scene and it puts the shadows in for you. You have to manipulate them, but they put them in there for you. And I'm pretty sure y'all know who this might be.
No, they want to tell us.
An exaggerated version of Meredith.
Yeah.
I don't know what Devin's trying to say.
What are you talking about?
She likes to do the Heisman pose a lot, so I had to put that far as her character is. This is just another still frame of I always wanted to develop like a comic book hero or a comic book villain. And I came up with this character as a villain for one of my comic book ideas.
Yeah, it's like the hood version of things.
And he got braids and everything, so.
Yeah, I see. That's fucked up.
And then this is just another still frame of all the characters that I designed. And actually it's a demo reel. So when you applying for jobs, when you're doing animation, they're gonna ask for you to do a demo reel. And it's basically just a video of all the work that you've done put together in one short little reel so they can see what you did.
Like highlights.
Yeah, just basically like a highlight film. That's what it is. And it's no longer, they don't want it to be no longer than like 2 or 3 minutes. They just want to see your strengths and your weaknesses and stuff like that. So.
What is he a hero or villain? What is he?
He's a villain. He's a villain that I had.
What did that inspire from?
I just always wanted to develop my own comic book character. So I wanted to see if I can design something and then put it in 3D. See if I can.
It looked like the SWAT.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the inspiration came from, because that's a bulletproof vest that he has on, and that's a hockey mask. Not a hockey mask, but I forgot what the sport was. It's like lacrosse or something. A mask that I found online that I was looking at. So I mean, with animation, you do a lot of research on things, and just to see what things look like, so you can add it to your character. I got a couple of short films that I'm gonna show you guys.
Can you show them your main demo reel on here though?
Well, mine actually. And this is a demo reel that I was telling him about, what the companies want to see. Like if you're specific, like if you're modeling characters or you're doing animation or you're doing storyboards, they want to see different styles of things.
Steve-O would take on Samo?
Huh?
Steve-O take on Samo?
Nah, it's just a little nickname that they used to give me when I was in high school. But actually, when I was in Australia too, they take off the ending of your last name and they give you an O. They put an O on it. I actually have more videos, but it won't actually play on this computer. And my computer's.
Take questions if y'all have one, and then maybe don't forget to restate it so she can hear them.
Okay.
Talk about that pencil. I mentioned it in my class, but the blue pencil that you're using.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
Oh, well, in animation, we use a blue pencil to do our initial sketches and drawings. And what it is, the blue pencil that we use, we can actually scan that pencil in and it won't show up. So we use like a black pen or a regular two-leaded pencil to go over the blue pencil. so you can clean up your lines and clean up your artwork. So if you like got like a sloppy sketch or a sloppy drawing, you just use the blue pencil and you go over it with the black pen, and it won't show the mistakes that you did. You can use a red pencil too as well, because the scanner doesn't pick up those colors like red and that blue. So
Kind of like a green screen thing.
yeah.
Scanning.
Do anybody else have any questions about anything or any?
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, that was my first one.
Hey, Chris, wasn't it just on the radio? He said, first song better than your last.
Tell them a little about the software that you use and how can they get them if they're interested in learning more about
I have a
animation.
question. Sorry. No. I say you like when you use After Effects. Is that when? At what point are you using After Effects? Is that like when you're putting the film like together, or?
Well, I use After Effects after you finish doing the 3D animation part of it, because After Effects is really the editing part when you use to put everything together, and to say you want to do color correction of your film or something like that, you use After Effects after you do everything.
Is that when you like add in the sound and stuff?
Yeah, you can take After Effects, you can add the sound to it, you can basically add text and words and everything else to it too. And the 3D software and stuff that I use is called Autodesk Maya. I don't know if y'all familiar with that. And actually After Effects is also a 3D compositing software as well. But Autodesk has a lot of different 3D software that they use. A lot of the major companies use it. It's also a 3D software called Cinema 4D. I don't know if you heard of that. And Blender. Blender is more used for like video games and stuff like that. Then you have like for the 2D animation, they have Flash. So you might see Flash on websites. A lot of the cartoons that they do on TV, on cable networks, are did in Flash animation and stuff like that too.
That's what I use with my Flash on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they used on the projections that were on the building that night that y'all came out.
So the speaker came, he used Flash, right? The guy that came.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad. Oh, he knocked that out. Oh, I was just saying that some of the symmetrical shapes you were talking about.
Well, like symmetrical shapes and that's good for all kind of art. Like when you're doing like your paintings or you're doing your any kind of thing with art, it's good to pick out the shapes in that style, whatever you're looking at. It's good to pick out the shapes in it. Like it might have a square head or a circle head, and it helps you with designing whatever you're trying to reach.
So how can you get some of these softwares?
It's actually it's free to any. If you're a student at a university, you go to the Autodesk software, and the Autodesk website, and you just put in like what school you go to, what you're majoring in. It might ask for like your student ID, and it gives you like a free copy, a student version of the copy of it. In which, yeah, because you wouldn't like if you don't do this. This software costs around $4,000 to $5,000 to actually. Yeah.
So I thought the instructor's just as good.
Well, no, you have a teacher version of it, and you have a student version of it as well. So I mean, basically, like I said, you put in like your student ID or whatever major you in school, and they give. But your computer got to have that capability to run that software, though. So it's got to be like a gaming computer.
Have you ever used it on a torrent?
On a torrent? Mm-hmm. About the software? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you probably can get the software from like torrents. I don't know how well it would work, like far as.
So still.
It's like bootlegging.
It's appropriation.
Have you ever did like videos or anything, or like for like music videos?
I'm actually working on my
Animated.
I'm working on a documentary that I did because I just got back from Australia. I played pro basketball over there, And so I'm doing like a little animated intro for my little film that I'm doing that like highlights of my basketball games and stuff like that. So yeah.
How long did it take you to make that little clip?
That clip, the stuff in the clip took about 5 or 6 months, but to get the whole demo reel, that whole clip, it took about 3 weeks to just get it. And it would have took less time than that, but I was just lollygagging around and not really doing it whenever I felt like.
So you were procrastinating?
Yeah, because I ain't have no deadline for it. I mean, that I had already did.
Well, we all deal with that problem, don't we?
No, I had did one for my school. I had to do one for my senior project when I was in school, and I had a deadline for it. But for this one, it's like an updated version, so I didn't have no time for it. I just, whenever I felt like getting to it.
Oh, okay.
So you said it took you about like 3 weeks to do some of the characters, and for like Pixar, how like Toy Story, for instance, like a rough scale, how long would it take for how long does it take animators to make something like that? Like, what's the typical scale for making a movie like that?
For designing or developing short films for Pixar, it usually takes from 6 months to like a year, because they actually go out in the field and they study anything that they're making a movie about. So they might take the whole staff and take them to the zoo. And if they study a certain animal that like the Nemo, they might go study it in its natural habitat. So they might go to the ocean and study fish, how they move and operate. So they might spend like 2 weeks just doing that. And then most companies like that have a large staff of people. So, cause it takes a lot of people to do, cause like I told you, it took me like from 5 seconds of animation, it might take you a couple of weeks. So think for like, an hour and 45 minutes, that takes quite a bit. And so they have like 300 to 400 people on the staff to do, and everybody got a specific area that they work on. So it takes a while to do, if you want it to be quality or good like that. So.
I was about to ask, or you kind of like ask answer the question, because I know like I want to go into architecture. Say like y'all doing like a cityscape or whatever. Do y'all like have architects come in and kind of guys?
All that stuff ties in. So they go out and they hire all these different types of areas. So like, with architects, y'all work with AutoCAD and stuff like in building and like buildings. So they might hire different architects to come and design the environment of a cityscape or any kind of landscape or whatever they may need. So they have all those people in different areas working for them. So like they have sequential artists doing like the storyboards. They might have like real, singers or rappers or whoever doing like the audio for the film. So it's a lot of different people that they use.
So, like, since you do it all, if you had to pick just one job to do specific for me, what would you do?
So with animation and companies, they prefer you pick one certain area to be strong in.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would you, like, if they told you out of a line of where you had to be to get this thing passed to you, what would you say? Would you be like the sketch person? Would you want to do the storyboard? Would you want to do the reeling?
I would be the concept, the sketch person. I would be the person who actually designs the character, and because part of that you do the 3D modeling of the character and you design what the character looks like in pencil. So I would want to do that part. I'm kind of good with animating, but I think I'm more stronger in the sketching part. So
for like in your films, like when you do, like, do you put voices with the characters? Like, do you have like vocals in them? And if you do, like, how difficult is that to match up a voice with the movement of the actual like mouth?
in my films, I actually use like sound effects. I don't use like the voiceover because I don't have the proper equipment to do it. Like you need like soundproof rooms and stuff like that, so you don't get none of the background sounds for the voices. But I probably like go to like online and find like a library of just random sounds like a basketball bouncing or a chair moving and stuff like that, and add sound. But
Was
You-
that
you-
difficult to like match up the sound of the sliding chair, like timing it up?
no, because like I told you, you do that all in After Effects.
Oh, yeah.
So you have like these little frames and little bars. So when you place it into After Effects,
Yeah.
you take that sound bar and you match it up with the film bar that you have, and you just try to move it into the point to where you see it fit.
Well,
Anybody else?
I swear every time I turn around, it's more people.
Damien's gonna be around in the gallery if people that are interested in this field want to show work. If you want critiques, feedback, if you want to even just go over softwares, he can show you some of the websites for where you can download stuff. We're not gonna put them directly maybe in 117 right away, but if you want more information, he'll be around this afternoon, okay?
Did you just say a woman?
117.
Thank you guys.